I'm going to say I'm Lynn Morris, and you're going to say
And I'm Dr. Mary Byrne.
Dr. Mary Byrne. And I'm going to say, yes, you are.
And I'm going to say, welcome back.
Yeah. It's good to be back. I don't know how many weeks I've missed, but way too many.
5 or 6. Yeah, it doesn't, you just do what you have to do.
Yep.
4, 3, 2. You're going to see yourself come up.
Good morning, everyone out there. Welcome to Changing Times. It is Wednesday, July 24th. We are live at the Axe Media Group headquarters in Springfield, Missouri. We have got a great show today, and I want you to pay attention. This is going to be all about Alzheimer's. It's an update on Alzheimer's. We got a brand new drug. I am Lynn Morris.
And I'm Dr. Mary Byrne.
Yes, you are. I tell you what, and we've got a great show today. This is extremely important. There's a lot of people that have dementia or Alzheimer's, and we're going to talk about it.
And a lot of families taking care of their loved ones.
Oh yeah,
Yes.
and it's a lot of money, and it just really shortens people's lives and changes people's lives, and there's no cure, but we do have a new drug we're going to be talking about today. Our special guest today is Marcia Rawerdink, and Marcia has been an advocate, I think, what'd you say, about 16 years?
Yes.
She's an educator goes around all over the Southwest Missouri area and talks about Alzheimer's and gives everybody good information on what to look for, early causes, early symptoms, things like that. So I think we'll just go ahead and get started, okay? And so the first thing I think that, and appreciate Marcia sent us an outline that Mary and I have, but I think we just need to get started and a little bit of an intro and definition first, and then we're going to kind of go down through this outline. I know people will pay attention. There may be, you may want to write some things down, have some pencil and paper ready, because there's some really pertinent information that Marcia's going to share today.
Could you tell us a little bit how you got interested in this so that our audience understands and kind of connects
Sure.
with a personal
Sure.
experience?
This is very personal. My mother was diagnosed with Alzheimer's in 1998. She was a teacher, and she was very, very bright, very intelligent, and very, very independent. So when she was diagnosed with Alzheimer's back then, and I went through what I call the journey with her for 7 or 8 years until she died in December of 2005. And so partly because she was a teacher, and along that journey, one of the things that I learned was that there was a very serious lack of education, a serious lack of understanding of this disease, a serious lack of awareness. And if you turn the clock back, you can remember that, since then, we've had several famous people come forward and go public about having Alzheimer's, which has been a real blessing, because if you go back 20 years, we still talked about it as hardening of the arteries, and, oh, you're just under stress, and hide the crazy aunt in the attic, and don't talk about it.
I remember those years.
We have to talk about it, because there's a whole bunch of reasons. I'm going to talk about some of those reasons, but we have to talk about it. People have to be aware. They have to be educated. They have to understand what they're going to be facing. And so that's how I got into this.
You and I, we've talked about it before, Marcia. We've worked together on several projects with
Yes.
Alzheimer's, and my mother also had Alzheimer's and died with Alzheimer's at age 94.
Bless her heart.
And very quickly, I think the one thing that was so impressed on my mind, I still think about it all the time, is moms were always the best cooks. There was nobody that cooked better dinner than moms back then, and then for family gatherings when we had our whole family, just all the food that my mother could make. But towards the middle to the end of her life before I had to put her in a nursing home, she would walk into her kitchen and she would look around, but she got to the point where she could not even make a cup of coffee
Right.
or a piece of toast. And here was that lady that could make everything, So, but I know my mother, and I think you'll probably talk about this. A lot of people, I think when my mother first discovered, probably before we did, she tried to hide it. So she didn't probably understand what was going on. And then once she started knowing that something really was going on, she tried to keep us from knowing about it.
Yes.
And that's when we started seeing some checks being printed out but never got mailed, different things like that would not be a normal thing of her life.
Yeah. And that's very common.
Yeah. All right, so we'll go ahead and start just kind of a little definition and whatever you want to talk about.
I like to start with definitions because there are misunderstandings about a couple of key terms. And the first two that are the most key terms are dementia and Alzheimer's. Those two terms tend to get used interchangeably, and that's not correct. Dementia, think about it in terms of a very large umbrella, and there are several types of dementia. Alzheimer's is just one type of dementia, and it is, however, the most common.
Marcia, can I interject here for our audience, just so you know? Marcia is an ambassador for the Alzheimer's Association. Can you tell them a little bit about your background so that they understand they're getting credible evidence or credible information here?
Yes. First of all, I'll start with just saying I was a scientist by training before I retired. And once you have gone through the journey of having a loved one with Alzheimer's, because I am by nature a learner, and when my mother was diagnosed with Alzheimer's, when I recognized that's what it was, very quickly, I began to read every book on the subject that I possibly could.
You use all of your background and skills
Yes.
to address the needs of your loved one.
It helped me to be a learner.
Yes.
Because I was swallowing up books and information like crazy, because I wanted to understand, what am I dealing with? What do I need to expect? What do I need to prepare for? When do I need to prepare for that? And how can I help? What behaviors do I need to keep an eye out for, etc. Now, the other little snippet of information is my mother was living in Wisconsin. I was living in Connecticut.
Oh.
So I was doing what they call long-distance caregiving. And so for about 5 years, I flew back and forth from Connecticut to Wisconsin at least every 2 weeks. The fortunate thing was that I had built sufficient credibility at my workplace that my managers gave me free rein to do what I needed to do. My manager said, in fact, one time, she goes, "You do what you need to do. I know that you know what you have to do in a week. I know what you have to do this week, and I know you'll get it done. So you go do what you have to do."
Oh,
so
bless her heart.
yeah, it was wonderful to have somebody like that to report to. So I started out by volunteering and saying, "Hey, look, I can't stuff envelopes because I have a full-time job." So some of the first things I did was to manage booths at health fairs, things like that. Then I started going to Jefferson City and started learning about legislative priorities and some of the priorities that Lynn was working on with seniors and veterans. And along the way, of course, then 4 years later, they asked me to step up to the federal level. and of course, spending my time meeting with legislators both in the district office and with legislators in Washington, D.C., and understanding all of our legislative priorities really pushed that learning process and really gave me a huge opportunity. So now every 3 months, we have a research webinar. I attend every single one of those so that I keep up to speed. And then there was a process we had to go through to become qualified, certified as a community educator. So I went through that process. So it's been a lot, and thank goodness I'm a learner.
Yeah, God pushes you into areas
Yeah.
you like never thought of
Absolutely.
for yourself.
When I accepted the position of ambassador for Missouri District 7, I had no idea how much I was going to learn about politics. That wasn't the reason I went into it.
That's right.
The reason I went
I
into
hear
it.
ya.
The reason I went into it was in order to advocate for our legislative priorities. But in that process, I learned so much about what happens in Washington, what happens in Jefferson City, and how to leverage our position on our priorities in order to push them through Congress.
It's pretty amazing when you're just living your life day to day, how you're insulated from this awareness that
Yes.
the government has some kind of power or influence over everything you do.
Yes.
And if you are not involved, then you are a victim.
Yes,
That's-
yes, exactly. And we have learned how not to be a victim.
We have learned. That's right. And we encourage other people to learn.
Yes.
That's right.
And that's why I do the community education piece of it,
Yes.
as well as the legislative piece of it, so that we can learn. So I'm going to back up. So dementia, think of it as the big umbrella. Alzheimer's is just one type of dementia. And it is the most common type of dementia. It's about 2/3 of the cases of dementia. But there are other types of dementia: vascular dementia, Lewy body dementia, frontotemporal lobe dementia, and Huntington's disease, and something that we've discovered in the last 10 years is more common than we knew, which is another type of dementia called mixed dementia, where someone has more than one type of dementia at the same time. And I knew a lovely woman from St. Louis. She was a college professor, and she ended up having mixed dementia. She had not only Alzheimer's, but she also had Lewy body dementia on top of it.
So what we're talking about is when you think of dementia, you think of memory loss and brain function, but there's actually motor skills involved
Yes.
in that. And so Lewy body and
Lewy body is, that's one of the indicators that it may be Lewy body.
the motor.
Is the motor skills. You may see the motor skill loss before you actually trigger in on the memory loss.
Yeah, so there's a lot going on. And we have therapies and treatments or
Yeah, and I want to talk about that because those are, in fact,